Today I want to be talking about one of my pet peeves, hand position on the steering wheel during fast road driving. First I'm going to show you 5 bad ways to hold the steering wheel with fast road driving. Then I'm going to show you how to position your hands the right way and what to do with them when you're actually steering through the corners. Now I'm not saying I'm perfect, I've got some bad habits too, but I'm working hard on trying to get rid of them. Now some of the things I'll talk about will also apply on track, but I'm really going to focus on when you're on the road, and what better car to do that with than the F12 Berlinetta, a 6.3 litre, 730 horsepower Ferrari V12, and some of you might recognise the number plate on this particular car as belonging to JM on Cars. So a huge thank you, James. And it's not only James who I have to thank today, I also have to thank Insta360 for sponsoring this video. All of the POV shots that you're going to see today have been filmed on the Insta360 ONE RS, a camera that has interchangeable lenses between a 360 degree or 4K lens or a 1-inch sensor. And the reason I'm using the 4K boost lens today is because of its active HDR feature. Anyway, I think it's about time we jumped in the car and hit the road. Where you put your hand on the steering wheel is one thing, but actually your driving position is also just as important. Now something that I often see people do is they recline their seat all the way back so that their hands are completely straight on the steering wheel. I know some people think that's how racing drivers drive, but it really isn't. If you actually watch any racing driver in any race car, you'll notice that their elbows are usually quite bent. And to get the right position in a road car, what you're really looking for is for your wrists to be able to hang on the top of the steering wheel here with a slight bend to it. So when you put your hands at 9 and 3, there is a nice little bend in your arm, about 100 degrees. That gives you the best level of control over your steering. Now that we've dealt with seating position in relation to the steering wheel, let's hit the road. Just remember, this video really is not for learner drivers or beginners or inexperienced drivers. This is for experienced drivers who maybe have picked up some bad habits. So the first really bad way of holding the steering wheel that I see a lot when people are driving fast is one hand on the middle of the wheel. You just don't have the control. What happens if you go around a bend and there's an unexpected pothole and it sort of yanks the steering wheel? Having both hands on the wheel at the top, also a no-no. Like, you don't have control over the steering wheel as much as if your hands are at 9-3. The third thing I see people doing a lot is this kind of 10 and 2 position. Now, this is one of the ways in which people are sometimes taught to learn to drive. It's not too bad, it's probably the least worst of all of the different ways you could be holding the steering wheel, but it's really inadvisable. Oh, tunnel. Oh my god, this car sounds too good. Okay, enough about the V12 and how good it sounds. On to my fourth, holding at the 8 and 4 position. He's in a hurry. Some driving instructors have been telling people to hold the wheel this way, and the primary reason is keeping your arms as clear of the airbag as possible. Even though it's keeping your arms and hands and body safe from the airbag, it's kind of increasing the chances of an incident that could result in the airbag going off, simply because you just don't have as much control of the wheel. It's less precise. Personally, I wouldn't recommend it, but please seek advice from your local driving instructor / expert. Before I go into the fifth and possibly the worst way to hold the steering wheel, and the right way to not only position your hands on the wheel, but what to do with them when you're steering, I'm gonna have to make a quick stop to say a special thank you to our sponsor, Insta360. Today, all the POV shots are being shot with the Insta360 ONE RS. It is multiple cameras in one. Today, I'm using the 4K boost lens with the active HDR and the built-in flow state stabilization enabled. Active HDR allows for movement, still retaining a high-quality, high dynamic range shot. Now, the interchangeable 5.7K 360 degree lens allows you to shoot first and point later. That allows you to do creative and sometimes impossible driving shots. The ONE RS is the successor to the ONE R. It now has a bigger battery with 21% more capacity. It has inbuilt flow state stabilization. That means there's no software that you need to put it through afterwards in order to get that buttery smooth stabilization. Inside this case, it is waterproof to 16 feet, so you can even shoot in the rain. It has an incredible 6K cinematic mode, which captures some awesome shots. So follow the link in the description to get your Insta360 ONE RS, and look out for any special offers made available via that link. Now, back to your regular scheduled video. worst way to hold the steering wheel is putting your hand inside the wheel. Like, I've seen people do this, whether they're driving along holding it like this, or when they turn, they do that. Now, at slow speeds, that kind of isn't terrible, but again, you've got to remember, there's always that possibility that someone could crash into the side of you, and again, your hand's over the airbag. But if someone does hit you, or you hit a bump or a pothole, and the steering gets yanked, again, you're running the risk of breaking your wrist as well. Now, onto how to correctly position your hands, and especially how to actually use your hands while you're in that position. Now, you've probably heard the whole hand positioning thing all before. Always 9 and 3, like on a clock. Try not to grip the steering wheel for dear life, because again, if the steering wheel gets yanked, there is a risk that your thumbs could get injured. These little bumps here, they are specifically for you to put your thumbs there, so you can literally feel where to put your hand on the steering wheel. And with fast driving, the only time you should ever really have to take your hand from that position is if you're in a manual and you're changing gear. Now, there is a lot more to just where you position your hands. It's also how you actually use your hand for steering. There's a couple of mistakes that people make. My son was talking to me about this the other day because he's a racing driver, he's done some track tuition, and has been out a few times with other people as passenger. And something that he notices, even if he gets people to put their hand on the steering wheel in the right place, something he notices on tight bends, like hairpins, is that instead of turning by pushing the wheel round, they'll put their hand on the top of the wheel and pull it round, letting go of the outside. And at that point, you are actually reducing the amount of feel you're getting through the steering wheel. You're reducing the feedback. Instead, what you want to do is keep your hands always in this position, and when you're going around the bend, you push with the outside, which gives you more feel as you're going through the corner, especially when you're pushing, which obviously I'm not doing now. So in summary, do your best to spot and avoid these bad habits, because you just don't have the same purchase on the wheel. Instead, on fast road driving, keep your hands at 9 and 3 like on a clock, thumbs pressed against these bumps with a firm but not too tight grip, and push the wheel round rather than pull it for maximum feel when driving on fast roads. Thanks for joining me today. You might also like this video here. Check the link in the description to get your Insta360 ONE RS. These cameras are awesome. Today I've been using the 4K boost lens for the POV shots, but it also has a 360-degree lens, and look out for any special offers made available via that link. And if you've enjoyed what I made with it today, please hit the like button, and I'll see you next time on Sports and Touring.